friends, and welcome to today's edition of New Release Flip Through with Bess. I'm super excited to be bringing two planners to the table for today's Flip Through. I have the brand new Executive Planner and the brand new Influential Planner. This is updates to the Boss Babe and the PR Babe inserts, okay? I've gone ahead and changed the titles, changed the covers, changed the insides. They've gotten a full facelift. I'm super excited to share it with you today. When I started thinking about renaming these planners to be a little bit more inclusive for everybody, I started looking up definitions of different positions in business. What is a boss? What is a manager? What is an executive? And a boss typically, because this used to be called the Boss Babe, right? A boss typically manages people. And while your business, you may have some people that you manage, typically you're mostly just managing yourself, right? I mean, that's what I'm usually managing. So when I found the definition of executive, I thought it was way more indicative of what we all do. And that is that the executive has the power to put plans and actions into effect. Meaning, we take our plans and we actually do them. We bring them to life, and that's how we've achieved the success of being where we're at today. So that's what I love about this new title, The Executive. The executive has the power to put plans and actions into effect. So you're all executives in my mind, and this new planner is going to be way better focused on really streamlining how you can improve your business and improve the way you're planning things out for your business and just keeping track of things. So jumping right in, we've got this great powerful quote, dot grid on top. We also have a year at a glance opposite of that page. Then we get into the monthly section. Now this insert does include 3 months at a time. So you're going to get January, February, March, April, May, and June, etc. So starting with January on this one, you've got a really clean, sleek new monthly calendar. I love how clean this all feels. And right below that, there's space for supply ordering. So this would be keeping track of like cello bags and mailers and stuff like that. So it's a great place to kind of do an inventory and make sure that you're all set on those items. And then on the flip side here, I've got a couple different prompting headers. So I have new releases, promotions, top 3 priorities, and then action items. And I love these new segments because really these are the things that as a shop you're probably focusing on the regular is your new releases and promotions. But then I want you to look at that, prioritize top 3, the 3 things you gotta get done for the month, and then come up with an action plan through the means of a checklist to make sure those 3 things happen. So it's a great setup for any kind of shop, really. And then at the bottom, because social media is such a huge component to online commerce, there is place for tracking social growth. So you can track your newsletter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and if you want to track one more thing, there's space for it at the bottom. And there's space for you to mark where you start on the follower count at the beginning of the month and then at the end of the month. So you can actually see the growth, which I think is cool. After that, we get into the weekly pages. The weekly pages, basically the biggest change here is this is much more open-ended for you to use this space however you want. Basically, the way I've intended it, this is the way I use it, is I put all of my action items up top, and then I do all of my social media and engagement type activities in this section here. I have like a little symbol section for here. I might do a heart for my Facebook group, and I would write what I'm doing there. And it's kind of like a plan of attack for online and a plan of attack for like in my real life. So it's a great way to kind of divide them up. And then at the bottom, there's also some great headers. We've got get it done, buy this, follow up, and next week. And again, these are the 4 sections that I keep coming back to in my shop. I always have immediate action items. I always have something that I've run out of that I need to buy. I've always got a person or an order that I need to follow up on, and there's always stuff that gets pushed to next week. So you get that for every single week in the month. And then obviously it repeats into the monthly section. So you get 3 months worth of all those pages. Obviously it repeats for all the months. I'm not going to just show it to you. That would be kind of boring. But here we go. Here's the end of March. And then after that, we get into some new sections. So this is the updated income and sales tracker. And if you like the Boss income and budget tracker, this is going to be a great kind of combination of that. Here you have all 3 months with the days of the months written out for you. And this is where you can write what your income or your sales total or your dollar amount, like whatever you want to track, is for each day of the month. And it's a great way to kind of keep track of how your sales are doing in relation to the marketing efforts that you're putting forward. It's a great way to see the correlation between those two things. And I think it's going to be really great and healthy tracking for lots of us that don't always have a chance to kind of like correlate those two numbers. And then on the flip side of that, there is space for jotting down expenses. So this would be all of your quarterly expenses. And then in the summary, you can kind of total it out. So it's your total sales for January, February, and March minus your expenses. That's the balance of how your business did for the quarter. So very simplistic look at a budget. Most people are doing a lot of this kind of stuff online, so I think this is just kind of like an overview paper version of what you're probably doing on a computer. In terms of budgeting expenses, most of that for tax purposes is done on a computer. This is kind of like so I don't forget to put it into the computer. And then the next page is the swap section. So let me come up close here. On each section, you have 3 lines to write in the shop owner and the name of the shop, what item you're swapping, how many you're swapping. I did this page specifically for my sticker shops, guys. This one's for you because I know you do lots of swaps on samplers. So then there's also a space for the address, when it was sent, and when it was received, and you get 2 whole pages of that. I'm also thinking of turning this into its own planner of its own. So if that's something you want to see, let me know. I can totally list this separately. So for if you're a shop that does like oodles and caboodles of swaps, because you only get one spread of it in here, you could just get some supplemental pages on that. Next up, we have the donations section. So this again would be for swag donations or like giveaway type stuff. There's space for writing the event, what the item was, when it's due by, who requested it, what's their email, how many, what's the value, because that's kind of important to know how much you spent on it, and then notes. I added the notes section in because I do think it is good after a donation to kind of reflect back and see, was it worth it? Did I get any feedback from the host or from the attendees? You know, if you have any additional notes after the fact, I think it is good to kind of reflect. So I added space for that. And then on the flip side, you have space for where you're shipping it to. So you'd put the address in there. So that's that spread. And then lastly, we have the promotions page. So this is kind of how I plan all my promotions and new releases. I need to have space to kind of just like jot down or maybe even draw some things that I want to bring to life later. I also need space for like the actual planning. So or the actual like executable plans. So here's kind of like that free form space. It's just a, you know, a graph section. And then below that you have lines for design and production to-dos as well as marketing to-dos. And I left this kind of open-ended, whether you want to do checkboxes or, you know, a numbered list, however you want to use it. It's really open-ended space, great space for just planning out your promotions. So you do get 4 total promotions to plan in the quarter. So it's basically 1 a month plus like a little bonus there. And this is another page that I'm thinking about maybe expanding into its own planner. So if that's something you'd want to see, let me know. So that's the executive planner. It comes in a dated format as well as an undated format in case you want a more open-ended solution. You don't want to be held accountable to dates. This is the way you can do that, and here is also how it looks on a classic size layout, because with classic you do get the 4 columns across, so you do get quite a bit more room with the classic size. So anyways, that is the undated version. Basically, it's just the weekly pages that are undated as well as this expense section. I take the month names out and I just write Q1, Q2, Q3 here. And it's basically the same planner, just in an undated format. So 2 options for you on the executive planner, and that will be coming out in B6, B6 rings, A5, A5 rings, personal wide rings, Happy Planner Mini, and Happy Planner Classic size. So lots of options for you on that front. And now let's change gears into the influential planner. Again, slight name change. This is obviously the PR Babe upgraded. I know lots of people do not identify with the word influencer, but if you are doing PR for shops online, you're an influencer. I hate to break it to you, but in terms of marketing, that is exactly what you are. There's no other way, shape, or form to go about it. That's what you are. Embrace it. Own it. You're great. You're an awesome influencer. It's cool. This is the influential planner. This is going to make doing PR requirements so much easier and keeping track of how well you're doing so much easier. So let's dive right in. Again, I wanted to start it off with a quote, and I love this one. It says, "True influence is about leveraging authenticity." It's about staying authentic with your audience. So I love, love, love that as the opening quote. Again, you get the 2020 at a glance. I think this open-ended space would be a great place for you to jot down your promo codes for the different shops you PR for. Because it's not, I didn't actually include a section for it because some people PR for one shop, some people PR for 50. I didn't know how much space y'all were going to need, so open-ended space is all of our friends. Okay, and then we get into accountability. So you've got your opening page, then we start into your accountability. So these are weekly checklists. So if you are responsible for 2 weekly posts for Shop A, I would write Shop A post 1, Shop A post 2, and once you've done your first post, check it off. Second post, check it off. You've met your requirements for that shop. It's a great way, especially if you are managing and PRing for a couple different shops. This is going to be a great way to make sure you are staying accountable to that shop's requirements and that you're doing what you promised that you would do. So those are your accountability pages. Then we get into a monthly spread. Please excuse, this has been binded incorrectly. That's why it's a sample. Here's your monthly spread. It's super open. Again, it's this sleek, new kind of like just very crisp looking font. It's the same font I always use. It's just not in bold. And I just love how clean it looks. I wanted to give you as much space as possible so you can really plan out your social media strategy with as much room as possible. So you get this for every month in the quarter, and then you also get a secondary page for the quarter. And what do you get in this secondary spread for the quarter? Well, on the left side, you get a space for kind of keeping track of your shop purchases. So anything that you've purchased from a shop, you can write down what shop it's from, what you ordered, when it's been shipped, when you've received it, and when you've reviewed it. Because as someone who does PR for shops, I like to know whether or not I have shared it on Instagram or not. And this is kind of like a great way to keep track of that. Also to keep track of purchases so you don't buy the same thing twice. Yeah, I'm never guilty of that. Of course not. And then on the flip side, again, we get that social growth tracker that I showed you for the shop planner, but obviously I took out the newsletter because most influencers don't have newsletters. There is still places for jotting down what the shops you're promoting for are having for new releases and promotions, because I think that's important. It's still a priority section and an action item. So essentially this is very much similar to the executive planner, but it is a little more streamlined for you influencers. And then we get into the weekly pages. I kept the weekly pages basically the same. I've just updated the styling of it a little bit. Basically here is where you can write all the shops you PR for, and then you can check off if you posted or talked about them on Facebook, Instagram, or Insta Stories, and then you can add. If you're a YouTuber, maybe you add YouTube. If you're a Pinterester, you put it there. It's a great way to keep track on a weekly scale of where you're posting. Of where and what you're posting. As for prompts at the bottom, you have the Get It Done section. Again, just to-do lists. Promotions for any promotions that the shops you PR for are doing. There's a space for marking how many new followers you've gotten, because you do still have space, you have that kind of start of month, end of month, but where it's, growing your following isn't the most important thing for a shop. It may be the most important thing for a PR person. So you do have space to kind of track it on a more weekly scale, and then as well as keeping track of daily tasks. So it could be, engaging in group A, engaging in group B, posting on my Instagram, posting on Insta Stories, and you can just kind of keep track. Like I did it on Monday, did it on Wednesday, didn't do it the rest of the week, or however good you are at getting your daily tasks done. That's what that section is for. So again, you get all the week's worth, and then it repeats. You get 3 months worth of it repeating, and then in the very back, there is just one extra section of pages, and it's the great ideas section, because I know people on my PR team have had some amazing ideas, and I know you've probably had them for shops that you PR for. too. So this is a great place to jot down those ideas so that you can remember them when the shop you PR for is looking for suggestions. You can be like, oh, hold on, let me flip to this back section. I've got some great ideas for you right here. This is kind of open-ended on the top with the graph section, and then on the bottom you've got lines in case you want to write anything specific down. So there you have it, my friends. That is the Influential Planner. Again, it does come in an undated format as well. So if you just want to see what that looks like, let me get the monthly spread out for you because that's the biggest change, right, is the monthly spread. Obviously, on the accountability, it's open-ended at the top. You can write in your own months and weeks. And then here's your undated monthly, space to write in the months. As well as space to write in your days of the week. So there you have it, and here it is in the 4-column across, again, if you wanted to see what it looked like on HP Classic Size. All of these will be coming to the shop Friday, November 1st. I am so excited for these new releases. I really love them. I think they're going to be super functional for me in 2020, and I hope they're going to be functional for you as well. So I hope you love them. If you have any suggestions, feedback, comments, questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. Take care, and I will see you on Friday for the fun new release.